that's stock market related. I think that something has to change in the story for me to realize that it's over.
So we could fall another 5%, but as long as the thesis is intact, it's not.
Yeah,
really,
yeah, 100%. Like, if that Crusoe data center story was real, and people are putting pauses on developments and everything, and there's been a couple companies that have come out and said they've blown through their budgets, but until we actually see something like, Anthropic's ARR really start to slow or potentially even decline, I don't think that we have to worry about the thesis breaking just yet. I know people want to try to front run that, and that's what we're seeing. But, if you remember back in like 2024, there were stories about Microsoft slowing down their build. Mm-hmm. And they were like, hey, you know what? We're going to take a little pause on the build outs of the data centers. And boy, oh boy, if you thought that was the end of the build out, you were far off from where we were. 2024 seems like it hasn't even started yet.
And they were just prioritizing different locations. It's not like their overall.
Yeah, that Crusoe thing was so weird to me. The only way we have wide scale pausing of data center build outs, there's two ways. Bernie Sanders becomes president, right? You have a real big political movement against it, which theoretically could happen, or there's not enough demand for it. And I think the latter is just very unlikely, given everything we talk about every single day. So as long as the demand is there.
To that story?
What is that?
Did you see the update to that story? The Crusoe one?
I did not.
Black Hills Corporation. I've got the Bloomberg story right here. They came out and said, no, actually, the company is continuing and advancing. Crusoe is no longer part of the development. And Crusoe's CEO went live, and he said the complete opposite of this. Like, he had an interview and said, yeah, the partners, doesn't want to continue. Bro, they don't want to continue with you. They're trucking along. They're going to go find a different partner here. So I don't know if there's what's going on there. But Black Hill's saying, no, everything's fine. 1.8 gigawatts is still very much has not been paused and continues to represent a significant opportunity for the company.
You want to hear a different Bloomberg story?
Yeah.
So Bloomberg interviewed a lady who saved up $6,500 to buy SpaceX stock, and she tried going to the bank to get a loan, 33 years old, to get more money to buy more SpaceX stock.
Public relations manager for what?
I don't know. She's a 33-year-old public relations manager, saved $6,500 to buy SpaceX, wants to buy more, saying there's no such thing as too much when investing in the company. And I think this is an interesting story, because I would imagine there's a lot of people like her that do not give a shit about the valuation. They just want to get as much money as they can into the company. And quite frankly, this is who Elon's targeting. like this is who he wants. He wants people that don't care about, the short-term nature of the valuation, but just, you want to be part of the story. And I think there'll be enough demand, but
And I was talking with my dad, and he goes, what's happening with SpaceX? And I was like, I don't know. It seems expensive. And we're talking about it. He goes, yeah, but you get Tesla as well. And I'm like, no, that's a rumor of the merger, And he goes, you sure it's not happening? I'm like, Dad, please, give me a little bit of credit here. He's like, I'm pretty sure I read something.
Bro, but even if that does happen, it's not just going to be some magical, they're both together. It's a long process, regulator,
and not just that. Those the company has to merge. The equity on the other side does not just get assumed you get $2 trillion companies for the price of 1.75. No, they're gonna want to get their share of SpaceX, and you're gonna want to get your share of Tesla. You're both gonna get crazy diluted. The two most expensive Mag 7 mega tech names are gonna try to merge together. Your share in those companies does not go up.
Tesla shareholders should have gotten SpaceX shares, but that never happened.
That was an Elon Musk promise.
Amit, would you have Palantir at IPO? Palantir did a DPO, but I didn't. I bought it, I think, a couple months after. But if I did, it was at a $20 billion valuation. Mm-hmm. That's the difference here, right? The difference is at the end of the day, the valuation that they're offering this to people. And it's just like, once again, at what point do we say this is just, because here's the thing, if NVIDIA, after every bullish tailwind you could imagine, is basically giving you less than market weighted returns because it's 8% of the market and it can't go up until the market goes up. And even when the market does go up, it doesn't go up. Why is SpaceX, which doesn't have any of the growth, any of the fundamentals, any of the buybacks, anything, going to go up if the market doesn't go up? Like if the S&P stays flat for the rest of the year, how is SpaceX going to go up, meaningfully from the level that it IPOs at? God forbid the market goes down for the rest of the year. How is SpaceX? It's just like, if NVIDIA can't do it, I don't know how SpaceX does it. And I don't think anyone's thinking about that versus just the story of SpaceX.
Also, we said before, like if Anthropic goes public, $1 trillion might go public, then it will be worth more than Meta. But how much revenue does Anthropic generate? And how fast is that growing? Because when you compare that to a SpaceX, like why shouldn't Anthropic be worth more than $1 trillion?
100%, dude. If SpaceX gets to freaking 3 trillion, Anthropic should be 7 trillion or something.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're looking at growth.
I mean, this whole thing just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely super interesting things, and this is like I would never suggest shorting this company because we don't know what Terafab is going to like. There's so many interesting projects that Elon works on where he definitely does demand a premium, and the speed at which they do things and address new problems and come up with solutions that no other company has ever thought of deserves a premium. But then I see comments of people trying to justify the value. Like I saw a comment scroll past and it says but you do get XAI and Twitter. It's like, dude, Twitter was a public company before. No one wanted that shit. It was a terrible failing business. And now they make half the amount of revenue. We know the numbers of how much advertising revenue they make. They make nothing, And XAI, it's like, what, you guys want to buy into Grok? Over, that's the thing you want to pay a premium on versus Anthropic?
I really spent the weekend trying to look at SpaceX from a lot of different angles to see if I was missing anything, and I don't think I'm missing anything. I think hype might take it up, but there's not
Eric in chat, from my chat, I feel ashamed. He says, I smell political bias.
Oh,
I would love.
Are you an idiot?
I would love to own it. I would love to own it, but
I've got a fundamental bias.
no, this has nothing to do with politics. I'm an Elon stan. I don't agree with him on everything, but I agree with him on a majority of things. And I still can't stomach the valuation on this thing, dude. It's hard-earned money, putting it into something that you just hope will go up in the greatest AI build-out we've ever seen with companies that are trading below 20 times earnings. And we're going to pay what for SpaceX?
Yeah, I've called Elon one of the best entrepreneurs of all times multiple times. This is not a political bias at all. I'm just, I just, there are other great companies. If it was Cash or SpaceX, there's a high likelihood that I would buy SpaceX. I love a generating business, but if it's SpaceX versus other very exciting businesses, like the real TAM in their S1, the high majority of what SpaceX is looking to do is in artificial intelligence. It's actually less in space and more in artificial intelligence.
Yeah, you mean with the data centers, right?
Not just data, like their hope for Grok in their total addressable market, what they want to get into with Grok, with Terafab and all these things. There are businesses doing this today. Like why do we not see this type of premium for NVIDIA? Why don't we see this type of premium for Google or Microsoft?
Data centers in space, my friend.
Yeah, and
They've got the rockets.
I think the reason we're spending so much time talking about this is because part of the reason we've had this essentially 3 red day and 4 session sell-off. I mean, at least what I keep hearing people say is SpaceX IPO. People are raising money. And so that's why we're analyzing it so deeply. And if it really is that people are raising money, by the way, futures, S&P getting hit 0.33% after hours. If it really is based on, liquidity from SpaceX, then, I mean, if we keep falling, that IPO, it can only sustain its IPO price for so long before that falls down as well. Like the lockup period's not going to save it,
Cerebras didn't even survive a week, I think, in the green, right?
Yeah, no, it didn't. 380 to 200, had a couple of upgrades on Monday. That's why it went up. But yeah, I mean, if you're a sell side analyst, what price target are you going to put on SpaceX? It goes IPO at $2 trillion. What, you're going to put a $300 price target onto $400? Like,
yeah. Dude, if you guys are getting excited about the Anthropic deal and the Google deal, I highly suggest you look at the businesses like CoreWeave and Nebius and Google Cloud and all of those companies. Google Cloud's doing billions and billions of dollars a month in their Google Cloud side. You know, where's their premium? If you think that they're paying 3x the market rate because of any sort of performance gap from SpaceX, I highly suggest that you ChatGPT that. The reason why they're paying a performance gap right now, a market rate difference, is because there's compute is so constrained that there are no what do you call it? Like data centers collecting dust. There's none that are not being fully utilized. So to be able to just get access to hundreds of thousands of GPUs tomorrow, like that, just turn on Anthropic and use them right away. That is what they're paying a premium for. Plus, the contracts are able to be canceled in 90 days. Those don't exist for other, those contracts are not being created at Google Cloud and at CoreWeave and all of these other ones that are bringing in way more revenue than SpaceX and have less the premium.
Yeah. Also, people that want to ignore valuation, I mean, like, be my guest, but at some point, you have a tipping point. If SpaceX was going public at $5 trillion, I mean, if you want to ignore that valuation, then okay. But there is a level that people are willing to pay or not willing to pay for the multiple earnings. And you could believe how great of a company, how amazing of a mission that Elon's promoting here. But at the end of the day, it's a business. Like, we're investing in a company. You want to get a return. Those VCs that invested years ago, they can't wait to dump their shares because they are sitting on a 20, 30, 50x. And they did the hard thing, which was invest when no one wanted to, back when it was a private company. But now that it's going public, you have to paint a different story. You have to paint a valuation that makes sense to the public market investors. And valuations can go up and down for irrational reasons. We're seeing that today with the mega cap companies. The idea that SpaceX gets to avoid mega cap drawdowns because it's SpaceX, to me, it's laughable right now. Because if Meta can barely hold on to a $1.4 trillion market cap, SpaceX is going to hold on to a $3-4 trillion market cap. And if it does have a drawdown, what does that mean for the market then?
I think we're all on the same page. I think, like, by the way, I'm not even saying that. I think that the stock will go up on IPO. But with the amount of investors who have shares already that are talking about selling out going into IPO, Brad Gerstner, there was another one very recently. Not Bill Gurley, but it's another one of these guys. And I would just be careful about the lockup periods. I think it's a rolling lockout. So insiders, like employees and stuff, will be able to sell their shares the earliest, and then it goes down to investors and all these things. Do you guys remember how that goes?
Yeah, basically the stock has to pump a certain percentage so if it goes up like 20, 30%, a certain tier of VCs get unlocked their ability to dump shares. So it's 4x oversubscribed. So let's say it goes from 130 to 180 at the open. There's going to be a lot of people that get the ability to just dump, which might normalize it back down to like the 150s. And then, it becomes a question of, is there demand or not?
It's true. Meta can't catch rockets out of midair.
But they can make money.
Yeah. There are some pretty crazy companies doing some pretty wild things that don't have amazing valuations.
Yeah,
ASML
I think
being one of them.
I think the other reason people are obsessed with this IPO is because we have seen in the past very large IPOs have marked the top. It's happened so many times, and so that's why I think people are hyper focusing on this IPO. And now that we've got this ugly price action the past week, it's almost like, okay, is it leading up to this, or is this a fluke and SpaceX will be fine and the market will be able to relax? And like what is the next catalyst that takes the market higher? You could say end of the war, but at this point, every time Trump says we're ending the war without officially ending the war, I don't know if the market's going to care. You could say oil coming down, but that requires the war to be over. You could say inflation cooling down, but that requires the war to be over. You could say earnings, but that's about a month away. And quite frankly, I don't know if Google and Amazon are going to put up as many of the numbers that they put up last quarter, because last quarter they got the benefit of Anthropic and SpaceX getting an increase in their private rounds, which vastly increased their EPS estimates almost by 30%, which is why they beat the street estimates by such a wide number.
Yeah, but our cloud businesses increased significantly as well.
Sure, but they don't have 80% beats on EPS top line without. So I mean, like
No.
they'll have good numbers, but like, and then if they announce equity or debt again with all the hype, like I'm wondering what is that core catalyst over the summer that just keeps the market at least afloat. And maybe it's Nvidia again, but even Jensen can't save Qualcomm or Marvell, like
He's doing his best.
He's doing his best, and it's I don't know. We're in a tricky situation, tricky spot. I'll be happy to get the SpaceX IPO over with, get that through the system, have that be digested, and then hopefully this war comes to an end, and maybe that's the catalyst to get us into earnings. But if we're throwing bombs at each other tonight, it's not the best thing you want to see.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we all